Yo, what is going on YouTube? This is your boy Dan, aka aDrive, bringing you guys the top 5 unused types for Pokemon Sun and Pokemon Moon. Throughout this video, I'm going to be talking about all the types that have not been used yet in Pokemon and why I think these Pokemon types would be epic to see in the upcoming Sun and Moon release. I'm going to be counting down the 5 types that I think are the best, as well as showing some different examples of how these types could come into fruition, whether it be through Alola forms or whether it be through new Pokemon in general. Regardless, it's looking to be pretty exciting, and the Pokemon Company has already covered a lot of really cool types that we haven't seen yet before that we will see in the Alola region. So I'm really excited about that. As always, if you guys are hyped for this video, show your love with that like button down below, and make sure you guys subscribe if you're new. It's totally free to subscribe, and I post videos every single day regarding Pokemon content, including Let's Play, Shiny Hunting, and even more. So let's jump right into things here. The first thing we're going to look at is all the types that have not been seen before prior to Generation 7 or the Alola region and Pokemon Sun and Moon. So you see a lot of really cool types on here. Both water and flying have covered the entire spectrum, so you won't see those Pokemon types on this list. We got a lot of other really cool ones. Some of these we've already seen now through the Alola Pokemon and through new Pokemon in general, but there's a lot of really cool ones on here. You see a lot of different fairy opportunities. Normal hasn't been paired up with a lot of different things. One of the ones that stands out to me is some of these really cool ice types that we haven't seen yet, and of course there's a couple ghost ones in there that might be pretty neat. So let's remove all the Pokemon that we know of for Sun and Moon so far. You're gonna see a lot of those types just disappeared. Fire Poison was covered through Salandit. We saw Ghost and Fairy through Mimikyu, and a couple other types, Drampa giving us Normal and Dragon, and some other cool ones. So there's been some really neat types that have been announced, but there's still a lot of really cool ones to go. So while this list is on the screen, I want you guys to take a moment to comment in the comment section below, which type do you want to see most in Pokemon Sun and Moon of these unused types? There's some really neat ones on here. And keep in mind, this top 5 is my opinions and kind of some opinions of some of my friends. But, you know, don't let that discourage you if you don't see your favorite type on here. Definitely let me know in the comment section below your ideas for a new Pokemon. And who knows, maybe it'll happen. Maybe it'll turn into an Alola Pokemon. Anything is really possible at this point with just about 3 months to go before the release of Sun and Moon. I'm really excited if you can't tell. So, starting things off here at number 5, Ice and Bug type. Man, this is the type that I've wanted to see in Pokemon for so long. I'm actually featuring a Pokemon on this page here, Cyclan, which was made in the Creative Pokemon project through Smogon, which actually, like, I feel like it was 10 years ago. I don't even know how long it's been, but I remember reading up on it when this Pokemon was first created in Smogon for the Creative Pokemon project, and I've always thought Ice and Bug type would be really neat. And obviously from a competitive standpoint, it's got that very glaring stealth route weakness, but I just feel like there's so many different opportunities and so many different ideas that they could do with the Ice and Bug type, and it would just be really cool to see that happen. I could really see like being that kind of frozen moth like you can see on the screen here, or more so yet, I would love for there to be a an Alolan, I'm saying Delta because I'm thinking of Delta Scyther, but an Alolan Pokemon for Sun and Moon that gets the Ice and Bug type. And what Pokemon would be better than Scyther to gain the Ice type? Now, I understand giving Scyther an Ice type would kind of throw off the whole idea with Scyther, but who cares? It's all good, man. I think it would be so neat to see this thing climb up to that frozen mountain, just like Vulpix and Sandshrew and Ninetales and Sandslash did, and just get frozen from the coldness of the ice and have these really cool ice sides and just slashing things up with its, I don't know, man. It would be really neat though, and an Ice type Scyther, maybe even an Ice type Pinsir, either one of those would be really neat. I would be really excited to see the Ice and Bug type, and I think there's a pretty solid chance that we do get an Ice and Bug type in Pokemon Sun and Moon, but who knows at this point. Number 4 coming in here is going to be Fighting and Ghost, and I just think of like a fallen warrior when I think of Fighting and Ghost, like maybe like a boxer or something like that, or even like a warrior from a battlefield who has fallen and kind of revived itself. And again, we have another Creative Pokemon project Pokemon here as well, whose name I think I'm gonna mess up here, but I think it was like Revenaka or something like that. I probably just totally butchered that, but that's okay. I don't remember it because it's been a long time, but there's some really cool ideas here with the Fighting and Ghost type. You can have like a Fighting type Mummy type of thing like you see there. You've almost got this like Raiden kind of ninja-esque type of dude. I'm totally calling that thing the wrong thing, but that's okay. But Fighting and Ghost, in my opinion, could be really cool, and kind of talking about that idea I had before. I was looking through the you know, the original 151, and maybe Hitmonchan, maybe Hitmonlee, but maybe a Fighting and Ghost type Primeape. I don't know, maybe that would be a little too far-fetched, pun intended there, but I don't know, it could be really cool, and I think this typing would be really, really neat. Fighting a Ghost from an offensive perspective is phenomenal typing. It has great coverage, and in fact, it might even have perfect coverage for many, many, many Pokemon, because obviously the only thing that's immune to Ghost is gonna be, you know, normal types, fighting types hit those super effective, so that's really cool. And then Ghost is super effective against Ghost, so then you have the, you know what I mean. So you've got some really, really cool opportunities there, and it provides great coverage from a competitive standpoint. So this is one of those concepts that I could totally see happening. It'd be really even cooler if they like tied a storyline around it, where you hear about this story of this like former fighting Pokemon who is like this, you know, crazy warrior, and then it dies, then it comes back and as a ghost, and it's, I don't know, man. I could really see this typing happening, and I think this is probably one of the more likely types that I think we're gonna see in Pokemon eventually, fighting and ghost type. But I really can see a lot of possibility with this one, and I'm hoping it comes into fruition because it could be really, really neat. Number 3 here is gonna be Ice and Fire, and I just love the idea of putting Ice and Fire together. The juxtaposition, of course, between the cold shivering ice and of course the hot burning flame. And this has been throughout literature two ideas or two concepts that are really, really contrasting of each other. And we've seen Pokemon do similar things where they've taken different types that maybe don't match up together and they make it happen. And the one that comes to mind for me, looking through all the different, well, I gotta throw this out there. First of all, I'm a huge Game of Thrones fan, so let's just get that out of the way now. And I can't lie, and I have to tell you the truth that I really think that you know, the idea of Ice and Fire has kind of been motivated by, you know, late events in Game of Thrones and just being a fan of the show in general, on the books, of course, although I haven't read the books, but that's on my list of things to do. But either way, I could really see Magmar being that fire type that ends up turning into an ice type if we're talking strictly Alola forms here, because I could totally see this Pokemon climbing up to that top of that ice mountain again, where we know Vulpix and we know Sandshrew have adapted to the Alola region there. Why can't Magmar do that? I feel like it totally could, and it could be really, really awesome as an ice and fire type, the first ever ice and fire type. It could like kind of freeze over, but I don't know. I understand that from a idea perspective, fire melts ice, so how would that make sense? I have no idea, but it's Pokemon, man, and anything is possible, ladies and gentlemen. So I don't know, maybe you guys could think of a better Pokemon aside from Magmar that would fit the ice and fire Alola type theme, but I think Magmar could be where it's at, and I'm really excited. Hopefully it comes true, something becomes ice and fire type, because it's just too good of an opportunity to pass up, man. It's too good to pass up. But number 2 here, we've got Fire and Grass, another one of those type combinations that is kind of crazy to think about because it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, but it kind of does at the same time. And I know I am not the only one in the world who wants a jalapeno pepper or just like a flaming hot pepper as a Pokemon. I love jalapenos, first of all. I love spicy food, and why not have that in a Pokemon game? I mean, I'm just saying, I think that'd be really cool, but I gotta show some love to that Tiki Torch thing there too, the flaming Tiki Man. I mean, that's a really cool concept art, and I really want to take a moment here, guys, to just encourage you guys to check out the description. There's a lot of cool Fakemon and art shown in this video, and I want you guys to show some love to the artists who did this. I'm always gonna give the credit in the description below, of course, but Fire and Grass, man, I think this could be really, really neat. The hot pepper, the flaming pepper, I mean, that's been one of the like common themes on all the Fakemon Dex leaks and things like that. I think that's one of the ones that not only me, but a lot of people want to see. And I can tell you the one Pokemon that I think that would be really, really neat as a Fire and Grass type is most certainly Vileplume. Can you just imagine a volcano Vileplume like we see here? This is a really funny Fakemon drawing here, but Fire and Grass Vileplume would be so neat, man. I don't think it's that crazy. I don't think it's that crazy to think of having a Fire Grass type, especially since we know there's gonna be like volcanic activity going on in the Alola region. Maybe we'll get that Fire and Grass type due to the exposure and due to the kind of the regional differences. Who knows, man? I don't know. But number 1 is definitely the type that we need and the best unused type, in my opinion, that Pokemon has yet to utilize, and that is Ferry and Dark. Again, the idea of taking these two polar opposite ideas, Ferry being kind of like light essentially, or being like the good, and Dark being the evil type or the dark type, putting them together is just it's the perfect yin and yang. And I love the Fakemon here too. The idea of putting these two opposing ideas together into making one Pokemon would be really, really neat. And I love the idea of the yin and yang. I think the artist nailed it on the pixie on the left there. But this could be really cool, man. And I do want to throw this out there, and maybe I'm crazy. Maybe it's Maybelline, I don't know. But Marshadow is the Pokemon that we know has been registered, and we're speculating that Marshadow is going to be the third legendary to go with Solgaleo and Lunala. Could this be the typing for Marshadow? So many people in these fake dex leaks and things like that have been speculating, oh, Marshadow, it's probably going to have multiple changing types, and it's going to have this, and none of that's been confirmed. We don't know anything about these changing types or varying types. All we know is Marshadow is supposed to have a very unique type combination that's never really seen before. Ferry and Dark could totally be it. It almost fits with the Sun and Moon theme too, if you really think about it. And if this whole game is about blocking out the sun or blocking out the moon, or the evil team doing something like that, or the eclipse or something, I don't know, man, this sounds like it could be it, don't you think? I can't, like, in my head, I think Ferry Dark, Marshadow, bam, done. I feel like it is definitely a possibility. It's the unique typing that we've never seen before. It's a really cool typing as well, which is pretty sweet. And I really think that this could be a possibility. I'm not ruling this out by any means. And I haven't really seen many people talk about the idea of Marshadow being Ferry Dark, because I think so many people are hung up on the fact that it's potentially going to change types. But Ferry and Dark, in my mind, sounds just as feasible as any of that. So maybe I'm crazy, but who knows? But either way, I think that could be really cool. So that is going to be that for our top 5 unused types, guys. It was really fun kind of talking about the different Pokemon types that could happen in Sun and Moon, and I'm really excited about this game. I'm really excited about just a new region, and these Alola Pokemon are so hype, things like that, guys. So thank you so much for checking out this video. If you want to watch another one, I posted a video about my Pokemon Sun and Moon team for Sun and Moon, kind of talking about the Pokemon that I think I'm going to add most to my team so far, knowing what we know. But that is going to be it for me, guys. My name is Dan. I also go by aDrive, and I'm going to catch you guys later. Peace.